Hello, this is Kujuman, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to add a custom runway for NavUtilities. So the first thing you need to do is bring up the NavUtilities settings window. On the stock configuration, you can right-click on the toolbar button to bring it up, then click on the Custom Runways button, and that will bring up this runway customizer. To create a new one, you can hit Create Runway. You need to type in a runway ident, and that's simply the name of the runway. You can see for your default runway it's KSC09. For this one we're going to call it KSC09C, and that's just to differentiate it from a couple of other runways I have. You can type in the runway heading manually, or you can use the auto heading setting, and that will use your craft's current heading. Or you could always go back and edit it to be anything you want. So I can make it back to being 90 again. Runway elevation works the same way. You can turn it on, or the auto elevation works the same way. It takes your craft's current elevation. Usually you can use the auto altitude. Occasionally, if you have really large craft, the elevation reported will be above the actual terrain elevation, so you might want to lower it down a little bit. And then the final setting is a use marker beacons, and that's filled out with this checkbox. If you do not, what the marker beacons are the things that sound when you approach the runway. They also light up these lights down here. If you do not have it selected, none of those will light up or anything like that. To activate them, go ahead and click this checkbox, and then just type in the distance from the current point where you want those to sound. The inner marker beacon generally sounds at the beginning of the runway, because you want to touch down a little bit into the runway so you're not hitting the edge if there's a mistake. The middle marker is maybe 2 kilometers before that, and the outer marker might be 10 kilometers before that. Those are the default settings, but you can set them to be anything you want. For the inner marker, just for now, I'm going to set it to be 75 meters and leave the outer marker as it is. If you want if you do not want to have one or more of the markers sound, go ahead and make it a negative number. Negative 500 is really the optimal number. If you make it too low, it might still sound, but negative 500 it definitely will not sound. So if I were to fly this approach, I would get the outer marker at 10 kilometers from my current position. I'd get the inner marker at 75 kilometers from at 75 meters from my current position, and there never would be the middle marker. It would not turn on. So once I have all the settings I want created, go ahead and click Create Runway at the bottom. It will show up in the list. And now you can go ahead and close the Custom Runways window by clicking on the Custom Runways button again, and then close the Settings window by right-clicking. Now they should be saved to your game database, or they should be saved to the file, so that next time you play KSP, those runways will still be there. And so let's explore for the runway that we just created. Here it is, KSC09C. You can see we're definitely right where the touchdown point should be, because we are perfectly aligned left to right, and we have 0 distance from the where the runway is supposed to be. I'm going to bring up the settings one more time to show you that you can also look up any of the runways that you have added custom, and see some of the information about it. And if you don't want one or more of the runways, you can go ahead and just delete them from your database by clicking the Delete This Runway button. So to test out that the runway customizer has added the runway you want in the correct way you want, just go ahead and I'm going to lower the volumes just a little bit. The voices track is where the marker beacons sound through, by the way. So that's why I'm lowering that volume. So now to test out the glide slope and the distance measuring equipment, we're just going to back up. You can see the glide slope is active for just a little bit. So that seems to be working correctly. As I back up further, the inner marker beacon should sound. There it goes. And that should be enough to add your custom runway. Thanks for watching.